All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm really excited. We're doing another live today, and today we're going to talk to Amber about regenerative agriculture. So, first of all, Amber, where are you?
I didn't hear all of the question. I'm not sure if it's my connection.
Yeah, I think there's like something going on in the background because it's like when I talk on your end. Maybe we won't talk about regenerative agriculture. It looks like there's something going on with her connection. Can you guys hear me? Let me know in the Oh, now you're sideways. No.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. There's a lot of sound coming from your mic, though. And you're sideways now.
Yeah, I can't hear anything.
Weird. Testing. Yeah, you should be able to hear me.
Okay, leave and log back in to see if that fixes it.
Okay. Well, now I'm just going to sit here and have to entertain you until she comes back. What should I entertain you with? It is freezing. I'm in my basement and it's freezing. It's absolutely freezing. There's some music down here. We could put some music on. Wait. New Year's music. Not sure how this is New Year's. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, it sounds like the interference is gone. Okay, so we are here with Amber. We're going to talk about about regenerative agriculture. That's a mouthful, by the way.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
Where are you from, Amber?
So I'm Northeast Texas. So we have a ranch that's technically it's in Pittsburgh, but it's halfway in between Pittsburgh and Gilmer. So we're currently at 29 acres, and I'm hoping to expand later on.
Uh-oh. And she froze. I don't know if this is going to work with her. Hold on a second. I'm going to let her know you froze. Froze and zoomed in. Oh, this poor girl. She's not having a good time with the tech. Okay. We might not be able to make it through this live. It feels like. This is my very last live of the new year, too. But we might not be able to make it through. And she's gone. And now it's just me to entertain you guys again. I'll play music for you again. I don't know. What's the Christmas music? Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if she messaged me back. You guys are all joining me for my live. I have a guest on. Oh, she's going to try to come on again. Don't go away, guys. Okay.
All right.
What happened?
Try this one more time. Third time's the charm, right?
Maybe, hopefully. Okay. Okay. So you're from Texas, you've got 29 acres. And then it zoomed in on you and froze.
Okay, so yeah, we're Pittsburgh and north of Gilmer, both really small towns, 3,000, 4,000 people. So, we're of out in the middle of nowhere. But regenerative agriculture is very different from conventional, because conventional agriculture most of the time is monocrop, and or you're only raising one kind of livestock. Regenerative agriculture goes, okay, well, that's not how nature works. Nature never does just one single thing. You're always integrating animals. So when you're doing regenerative agriculture, you're basically trying to model after nature. So for a crop business, instead of growing just corn, you go, okay, well, we're not going to do just corn, because corn's a high nitrogen plant, right? It needs a lot of nitrogen. So you grow corn with some peas and beans, where the corn is the support system that the peas and beans are going to grow. You can throw some sunflowers in there, because they're going to grow about the same height as corn, so they're not going to be smothered by it. And the Three Sisters method, you can also add squash or pumpkins, somewhere in that family, and it really shades the ground. So you get corn at the density that we do now, but you add in multiple other kinds of plants, so you're not just getting one kind of crop, you're getting multiple kinds.
Yeah, I actually have been wanting to do a Three Sisters garden for a long time. And for anyone that's, why is it so loud? Or were you just like typing or something, or moving your phone?
No, I disconnected the power cord, hoping that will work.
Oh, maybe that's what the noise was. Okay. But that's where you do the corn, and then like the beans grow up the corn, and then like the pumpkin or the squash go underneath it. I've been wanting to do that for a while, but we haven't done it yet. Maybe one of these days. So aside from, okay, so hi Tips. Okay, we're gonna have our live sideways. It's not though. It's doing the same thing as it was before. So Amber is completely black right now. Everything's gone. It looks like her sound isn't working. We're talking about regenerative agriculture today with Amber. You're just popping up.
I don't know. So, all right, I think the background noise went away. Can you hear me fine?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right, so you're wanting to try Three Sisters.
Oh, just every other project in the world. Just having a whole
I know that.
project.
Okay. Yeah, no, it says Three Sisters, originally developed by the Americans, practiced it for hundreds of years. The Amish regularly do it. But you can't plant everything at one time. That's where a lot of people get confused with Three Sisters. They go out, they plant the corn, they plant the peas, they plant the pumpkins. and then everything tries to come up at the same time, and the corn's too young for the peas to grow on, and you have a lot of issues. What you have to do is you have to start the corn. Then as the corn, gets 2 or 3 week head start, and then you plant pea seeds. And then once the peas start to climb and get above where the pumpkins are, then you go and you plant your pumpkins.
Yeah. So what, aside from planting something where it deposits what the other plants take in, like the Three Sisters, like what other things can you do besides the Three Sisters gardening?
Well, it depends on what you're growing. Corn, you're going to want to put a lot of legumes in, but you have to look at your legumes sure that they're not going to get shaded out. And that can be a problem when you densely plant corn, as a lot of conventional farms do. They plant it as tight as they can. So what you can do is when you plant corn, you can plant other things in with it. And then, corn is not a full season crop. It doesn't take all of summer for you to be able to harvest corn. So when you go back and then instead of planting, another round of corn, because your pumpkins or your squash, it's not necessarily done for the season. You don't want to. You have to kind of have so you could do another round of corn, but that's kind of where it's hard to plant enough legumes to keep up with the high nitrogen demand of corn.
Okay.
So it would be a good ideal to grow your peas, your pumpkins, and your corn, and then go back in and do a round of alfalfa. But you wouldn't take out, you'd cut down the corn, you'd plant, some alfalfa. You can leave your pumpkins in there, and that's a legume. That's going to replenish all the nitrogen that you just took out of the soil.
You can plant the alfalfa around the pumpkins?
Yeah, you can plant alfalfa with pumpkins.
But won't the alfalfa not have room because pumpkins spread and they take up the whole thing?
Yeah, alfalfa is a tall plant.
So
it's
not going to be shaded out by the leaves. It's still going to start and grow up past in between the leaves or something.
Yeah, it'll find its spaces that it can go up.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, alfalfa will come up with the pumpkins still there. You don't need to put your peas or beans in there because the alfalfa is the legume in that situation. And then once you get your alfalfa a couple feet tall, it'd be good to send in some kind of grazer. It'd be kind of hard to find one that doesn't eat pumpkin because everything I know eats pumpkin.
Yep.
So it good ideal. Once you get that alfalfa to a certain height, you can either go in and bale it, which would probably be the best thing, or you could send something in to graze it.
How would you bale it without damaging the pumpkin? Like you'd have to do it by hand.
Well, you'd probably a lot of people use squash instead of pumpkins. I just prefer pumpkin to squash.
Right.
So whenever I do Three Sisters, I do pumpkin. But you could do squash, and you could harvest off of the squash by the time the alfalfa was ready to cut. But the preferred method of harvest of either the corn or the alfalfa, whichever you chose to do afterwards, would be to graze it. Nice. Sorry, I have 6 dogs.
That's okay. That's a lot of dogs. So I've never done alfalfa before. If you do this like after the corn's done, then you plant the alfalfa. Will the pumpkins be done by the time the alfalfa is ready to, or will they still be going?
Pumpkins are a long season. I start pumpkins usually in early May from seed. And then and then they're usually ready about October. So I mean, they take 5 months. They're a long season. And the reason that I do it like that is because when I take down the corn, I'm going to go in and I'm going to plant a few other things. We like to do sunflowers. So, I mean, once I take the corn, once I harvest the corn, I cut the stalks, I lay them down, and get them underneath the pumpkin leaves as green mulch. And then I'll go in and I'll plant sunflowers. So, but I'm trying to always switch up what I'm doing. I have a piece of land that's just growing one thing.
Okay. Yeah, that wouldn't work for us. So like every state's different, but like in New York State, that wouldn't work for us because if we waited to plant sunflowers when the corn was done, we wouldn't have any sunflowers. It wouldn't be enough time. Yeah. Oh, Austin says, Happy New Year, David Farm. And he said alfalfa is sweet, which would be hard on the animals to get full time.
Yeah, you shouldn't graze cattle on alfalfa full time, but you can take and turn them out for a couple hours at a time and then take them back off. You wouldn't want to turn hungry cows out onto straight alfalfa. You'd want to wait till after they, morning. You'd want to have them, up for a couple hours after sunlight, and then you would want to kind of run them through the alfalfa field, let them kind of walk and graze, and then before they start laying back out, you want ready to, just gorge themselves on it. You kind of want them in a lazy grazing kind of scenario. Alfalfa is very rich.
Yeah,
he is right about that. Now, a good way to harvest the corn, to turn the cows out onto the corn, is also pretty rich, but they will eat corn stalks. I know at one point I had a neighbor of mine that brought pigs over, and they were going to be here for a couple months, and we turned them out on our and left my pumpkins alone because my pumpkins were really, really small. They were mostly in the flowering stage, so they didn't really buy pumpkins. But yeah, they ate every single piece of the corn. They pulled the whole stalk out of the ground, ate the roots, the stalk, the leaves. And I was like, all right, well, let's throw them the cobs too. And so yeah, they did an excellent job harvesting the corn. It did damage the pumpkins a little bit, but we didn't lose very many pumpkin plants. We went in, we took the pigs off, we went in and we put some burrs and some peas back in. And what else did I do? I did had another little vine thing that I was cucamelons.
Okay.
So
how many acres?
Cucamelons.
How many acres were you doing this on?
That was only about a half-acre plot.
Really,
we don't need a lot.
And the pigs didn't eat the pumpkins? That's so weird to me because my pigs would they would eat the pumpkins.
Well, they wanted because the corn's sweet. So they wanted to eat all the corn first. As soon as they were done with the corn, we pulled them back off.
Okay.
We didn't leave, anything out there. And the pumpkin was mostly in the flowering stage.
So we just trampled it.
So yeah, they did some damage, but that was just going to make the pumpkins grow stronger roots.
Okay.
The pumpkin's going to respond. It's going to go, I need better roots, to repair myself for the damage that the pigs did. The pigs did a damage, but they were mostly after the corn stalk.
Okay. So you got
find corn cobs that we missed, but we didn't miss any.
Hi, Lack.
So yeah.
Hi, Lack. Good to see you here. That's my little buddy.
So, but when you're growing one crop, there's always something that goes well with it. If you plant tomatoes like to have some basil and some peppers, and they work really well. Basil's actually going to help deter your tomato hornworms. those little green caterpillars that blend in so well with stalks.
Marigolds too, right?
Marigolds will help with a lot of so. And I plant marigolds with just about everything, unless I know that they're going to shade it out. Now, but the one thing I have not found something that I can interplant with is watermelon. Anything I plant with watermelon, the watermelon kills.
So you can't do Three Sisters with watermelon?
I've never tried to grow watermelon with corn. They both like a lot of water, but no, the watermelon, it takes off so fast in our soil that it probably would strangle the corn.
Oh, okay.
Whenever I plant watermelon, it's where I have a lot of weeds or plants that I don't want.
Okay.
Because it'll climb up anything and topples it over. So I've gotten rid of patches of dog fennel by using watermelon. And most people are like, no, you can't get you have to spray a herbicide on dog fennel. I'm like, just plant watermelon over that stuff. So that's how I get rid of dog fennel, because I plant watermelon. But we have a 6.5 pH. So watermelon really loves our sandy, loamy soil. And it goes crazy every time I planted it. I won't even plant it near my garden anymore, because I lost a garden 2 years in a row due to watermelon coming back on its own. Didn't plant it 2 years, and I had watermelon in my garden for 3 years. 2 of those years I did not plant it.
That's how my tomatoes are. They just come back every year.
Tomatoes come back every year. When I see watermelon come back, I go, oh no, I missed one, or got one, or the horse got, and I was like, this whole area is going to be overtaken. Because I don't know what it is, but grow watermelon great. I had 1 year that I was just giving them away, because I was like, I need to get these off property, because something's going to get into them, and I'm going to have watermelon seeds, and they're just going to take off next year. I was like, I have to get these off the property so that I can grow something else.
Yeah.
So
your pig farmer friend would probably love you for that.
He did take a few. He took the ones that weren't ripe yet, that happened at the end of the season. When the frost came in, it killed all the plants, and it still had a bunch of little watermelons. And yeah, he took all of those. He was like, I want unripe watermelon. They'll love it. They'll eat anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, he took some. He took the ones that, really any good for eating. So but it was crazy how I didn't, that was the first time I planted watermelons. And then I figured out that if I'm going to grow watermelon, I'm going to have to make sure that nothing gets near it, and all of the watermelons before somebody does. Because the first time what happened was a horse got in, he broke a few watermelon seeds, got out, got in the soil, and it came back the next year. And then the next year it was the horse and the goats
that got into it.
And I was just, I was like, yeah, okay, we're gonna put a better fence around the garden after having watermelon replanted for 2 years. So after the third year, we were able to keep everybody out of the garden. But yeah, it was ridiculous.
That's funny. So how important do you think it is to change what you're planning? Like, I mean, even though you have like the Three Sisters and it's doing the thing, it's regenerating it. Do you think that you need to change what you plant there next year, or can you keep doing the Three Sisters there?
You would want change. And that's not just because of the nutrition value of the soil, it's also because of the pest. Because you can get pests with, part of regenerative agriculture is reducing inputs entirely. You don't want to add any synthetics. You can if you're grazing your plants down, you're automatically adding fertilizer. because as cows, goats, or sheep, or whatever you used to graze on your field after the season's over, or whatever are in between plantings, when you graze that, then they're going to be pooping as they eat. They're pretty much going to be a mobile fertilizer spreader. So you're adding back, and legumes are pulling nitrogen out and they're turning it into a compound that plants can absorb. So it's to graze everything that you grow as a crop, and then replant. So because that's how nature works. You see the prairie land and it's got all these different grasses. And in North America, the way that it used to be was the bison would come in, they'd graze it down, and then they probably wouldn't be back for a year. So you go, you grow one crop, use it down, and then you plant something else, because that breaks the pest cycle.
So what would you do if you have a lot of acres? You've got 29 acres. What would somebody who has like less than 10, less than 5, what if somebody that only has 1 acre to farm on, how can they practice regenerative agriculture?
Well, the first thing I'm going to tell them to do is away their tiller. That is the most important thing for regenerative, is no tillage.
Okay.
The next thing I'm going to tell them to do is I like the little flags, the little little metal stick with a little colored flag, and that's what I'll do my markers with. So I'll have a half acre of corn, and when I plant it, so each row that I plant the corn in has a little flag, and it's a certain color. I don't stick with the same color. I am not consistent. I have a notebook that tells me where I planted everything and what color the flags are, because I'm horrible about keeping track of it.
Wait, how big are these flags?
They're only they're up about a foot above the soil, and they got a few inches in there.
Oh, so they're like the markers that like the utility companies put in, like that kind of flag.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I buy them at Tractor Supply. They're really cheap.
I've never seen somebody use those for gardening. That's cool. Okay.
Well, that's what I use to garden, to mark the sections that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because section, okay, well, I'm going to go corn here, but I'm going to replace the corn later on. And I do go and I harvest my corn. I don't have a tractor. And so, I hand harvest the corn. And that's a long day. That's a really long day. So we don't eat a whole lot of, corn on the cob. I do freeze some of them for that, but for the most part, we can our corn, and that's a full day event. I'm up at sunrise out there picking corn, and then peeling and blanching and getting it all canned. That full day, especially.
Sounds so nice right now. Like I'm just like thinking, like in this weather right now where it's cold and nasty, we have like 2 feet of snow, how nice it would be to be out there at 6 o'clock in the morning in the hot sun picking corn and complaining about it. I would
well, at 6 a.m. in Texas, by the time the corn's ready, it agrees.
Yeah.
So it's comfortable. But now we did have, a light freeze yesterday. We don't really get a whole lot of snow. We do occasionally get snow. It's not an every year thing. But it did go down to 28. We had to run the water. We filled up all the water troughs to the brim, right before dark, to try to help them from freezing. We still had, my son's like, I got up in the morning and I'm like,
told my son, I was like, okay, well, go make sure your horse has water. And he was filling it up yesterday. And I was like, okay, go break the horse and go break the ice on top of your horse's wall in case she's not that bright. And he goes, oh yeah, she's not that bright. And he went outside and did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I was like, how is, animal that we've used for centuries, just stare at her water trough and go, I can't drink even though it's full. Because there's
the ice on my water is this morning, just from last night, was like that thick. So, I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't even completely froze over, but yeah, she'll be for some reason she's the one that like she'll touch the ice and she'll be like, no, I can't drink it.
Yeah, I would too. I don't blame her. Okay, so then you're doing it on like small, like 1 acre plot, and then like next, like this year, if you do in that spot, next year you'll do something like green beans or something. Is that kind of how you're doing it?
So the way you want to do it is you want to keep a living root in the soil as long as possible. So right now, what I have going in my garden is I have carrots, I have turnips, I have beets, I have 3 different lettuce.
Wait, right now?
Right now, yeah. These are cold. They do really well in cold weather.
When do you harvest them?
Probably early spring. The carrots will take a little bit longer. We might harvest those in summer.
That's crazy. We live in completely different worlds here because.
Yeah, it can be quite different. I have to cover the broccoli whenever we're going to get a freeze. I do go out there and I cover it or lap, and I have the broccoli with the carrots, or not with the carrots, with the garlic. I got bunching onions, and what else? There's 2 different kinds of beets. There was the red beets, and then there was sugar beets. And this is the first year I've ever grown the sugar beets. And I found out that whenever I plant 2 kinds of beets, I need to plant them in separate because I planted them together. I don't know which one's which. Because they look exactly the same.
That's fun. Can you tell by taste or no?
Well, when I pull them out of the ground, I'll be able to tell because they'll be different colors.
Oh, okay.
But just looking at them at the surface, I'm like, where I put the marker and it just says beets.
Yeah.
And I was like, I planted 2 kinds of beets and y'all all look the same.
That's funny.
So, but I mean, like the goal is while you're growing to have the soil completely covered.
Yeah.
So when I plant, I wait till everybody's about 2 inches tall, and then I go in there and I start sprinkling hay. Straw is recommended, but we have straw.
I use hay too. I mean, I know that it's got like a different nutritional value, but I use hay and it's always fine. So what I will do, and I guess by the time I get to the hay in there, the hay's not like fresh hay. So like all the nutrition that the hay has is probably. But what I will do is I'll take out in the springtime. I'll go and I'll do a deep garden, and I just spread everything all over my garden, and then I put down the garden and I plant in it.
So, I mean, like I like hay. I've never. I had 1 year where I used a round bell. Somebody gave me a round bell. They said it had been sitting out in a pasture for probably about 10 years. It's like, oh, my garden will love it. Because the nutritional value for the animals is what decreases. The nutritional value that it's going to break down and add into the soil doesn't change.
Right.
So the more it gets rained on, the worse it is, the nutritional value for the animals is going to change. Round bells is pretty good at shedding water, so a lot of times you'll still have fresh hay at the core. It's just not the side. But like I rolled it out in my garden and found out that there was still horse nettle seeds that were viable in that bale. So either about how long it's set out there, or those seeds lasted a long time, because I had a lot of trouble getting that horse nettle out of my garden, even with the cardboard. Even covering everything with cardboard, it was still really hard to get that out. And I was like, well, maybe we shouldn't use bells anymore. So, but it's hard to find rotten square bells. And I don't like using good quality square bells. I'm like, they can be used for animals. I find the ones that got rained on, or the ones that are, been eaten for too long.
Do you have goats?
We're actually decided to switch from meat goats to dairy.
Oh, well, your goats must make a mess with their hay somewhere, right? That's what I take. I take whatever mess they made with their hay in the garden.
I don't feed my goats hay. I will not feed them hay. They get fat.
What do you feed your goats?
Well, we're in Texas, so we grow winter pasture.
Oh.
So right now, my horse is not getting hay because she has a mixture of rye, wheat, ryegrass, arrowleaf clover, crimson clover, and I put some rape seeds out. I put some rape out. You've heard of rapeseed oil? Well, I put plant, which is called rape, out there, and yeah, it's kind of weird for a plant to be called that, but I put all of that out there, and I'm thinking come spring she's going to need a diet.
Oh wow!
Because she's fat.
Okay.
So yeah, no, my goats they fat all year long, and with the meat goat, I wasn't having to do any kind of feed, which I really liked, and I left a mineral and salt in their barn, and most of the time they didn't go through it just because they have that higher quality pasture.
So it's really interesting hearing something from a different climate. So my winter, like in the springtime, I can cover a good portion of my garden from cleaning out my barn, because in the wintertime I do deep litter.
See, I do that too, but I have separate beds that are different things. So every year I have to make sure that everybody in the house knows what the cook only bed is. That's what I'll call it. It's cook only, because we're using fresh manure on that bed. So I'll go out the barn and I'll cover an entire food plot with manure. Everything that comes out of there is going to cook before we eat. Because it is fresh manure. You don't want to eat it fresh manure. It can make you sick.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we'll do different things in there. We'll do potatoes. I don't eat raw potatoes. I don't really like the taste. I always cook potatoes, so we can grow tons of potatoes out there.
I don't. You're supposed to eat raw potatoes. I'm pretty sure that can make you sick.
My boy does.
I mean, I know. For some reason I know what a raw potato tastes like, but I'm
because we didn't one up and just popped one in our mouth to see what it tasted like. That's what it happened to me, and I was like, yeah, they're not that great.
Like I know what it tastes like. I can't describe the taste, but I know what it tastes like. But I'm pretty sure that you're supposed to cook potatoes. I feel like they could make you sick. I mean, like even when you feed it to the pigs, you have to boil the potato skins.
Well, I've heard that if you don't cover potatoes while they're growing, that they could turn toxic. So maybe it's just like sometimes I'll get a green potato.
No, I looked up raw. Oh, green potatoes can make you sick. There there's a disease that like sailors used to get from eating raw potatoes, or not raw potatoes, but eating green potatoes from the sunlight touching it. That's what they come from. Raw potatoes can make you sick due to resistant starch causing digestive issues like bloating and gas, and potentially harmful compounds called glycoalkaloids, especially in green or sprouted potatoes. Cooking breaks down the starches and produces toxins, making raw potatoes safer and easier to digest. And it's got glycoalkaloids, which is what I was talking about, where it can make you really sick.
Okay. So, but for somebody that's doing a really small property, first, you don't want to till. Tillage is one of the worst things you can do to your soil, because your soil is actually its own habitat. There is a food chain in your soil, and when you till it, you're actually basically destroying all of that. That's why you need synthetics. So if you don't till the soil, you're actually leaving that habitat, which is good for what you want to grow, in place. So you still, your bacteria and your fungi, that's what's breaking down all that, all of your manures, all of your dead plant material. That's what breaks that down and turns that into compounds that your plants need. And then there's other soil organisms that feed on the bacteria and the fungi and the earthworms and everything. But all of these creatures are excreting kind of a glue to hold the soil together as they move through it, and as they do their magical little process to feed our plants. And when you break up the soil, you're basically destroying their habitat. You're killing a lot of them. You're killing your earths, which are one of the most important things that you have in your soil.
So what I do, if I have an area that I want to turn into a garden, very early on, I go to the liquor store, I go to Dollar General, I go wherever they have boxes, I get a whole bunch of cardboard, I lay it down, and then I lay down my heap of manure. And then I'll do like a lasagna garden with that. What do you do? What do you recommend to do for someone? I know there's different methods, but what would you recommend to do?
Well, I go to the furniture store.
I never thought boxes.
My furniture store loves seeing me every spring. They load my pickup for me. Because that means they don't have all the way to the back of the store to throw it in the dumpster. It's easy to take it out the front door and put it into my pickup. So they usually load the truck for me.
That's a really good idea, because when you're doing like the liquor boxes, you break them down and you have all those little corners, so that you're piecing cardboard on top of it and all the the connection points there. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna have my dead plant material from whatever area I'm cardboarding over. I usually have something, because I can't just cardboard in the spring. I understand why you do, is because you finally got snow off the ground. But usually I'm replacing something that I'm cardboarding over. And then some of the manure I age, some of it I use fresh. I like to find hay bales or straw bales, and I'll put that on top of it. But that's mostly so that my cardboard doesn't run away.
Yeah.
We can get some wind. Like, you go out there and you're like, "Where's my boxes?" And then my neighbor calls, and I'm like, "Oh, that's where my boxes are." Sorry about that, Brandy. I'll be over in a minute. But for like my acid loving, wherever I plan to put acid loving plants, not that season, but the next season, tomatoes, watermelon, that really love an acidic soil, I'll use pine needles to hold the cardboard down, because they really like acid loving, but you got to wait for the needle to break down. So you want to give that, it's time to break down. So
getting pine needles from? Like, are you like stripping your trees or going in the woods?
No, I got some huge old growth pine trees right next to the road. So I literally just go down. I just drive down my road because I live at the dead end, so we don't have a whole lot of traffic. And so I just literally take my pitchfork and my truck down the road, and I'll just scoop pine needles into the back truck with a pitchfork.
Oh, from the ground? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They lose their needles twice a year.
Yeah.
And usually while I'm out there the dead pine needles, I'll grab some fresh pine needles, pine needle tea.
Okay.
And if you can get fresh pine needles and take them and boil them, it actually makes a really good house smell really nice too.
It makes good tea.
Yeah.
All types of pine trees, or are they all safe?
I know all the ones I hear are. My boyfriend actually knows more about it. Are all pine trees good for pine tea, or are there certain white pines you don't want?
Oh, okay.
So he's done all the research on that. I just drink the tea.
Nobody do that. If you're watching this, nobody do that unless you look it up yourself. Don't take medical advice, okay? I don't want anybody getting hurt and they're like, yeah.
I wasn't saying it cures anything. I'm saying it good.
Oh no, I don't want somebody going out there like after being like, oh, and then like getting sick because they had the wrong pine tree. I actually, it's funny because I up here we have sumac, and everybody thinks of sumac as like being poison sumac, and you can make sumac tea too. Did you know that? Red berries.
Okay, I'll have to look at that. I know we have sumac, and I know people that are highly allergic to it. But I know my goats eat it. I don't think we have any more. Actually,
I love it. The little red berries, they're like furry, right? And when I was a kid, they taste like warheads. If you just like eat them off the tree, they taste like lemon warheads. We use maybe not lemon, like I don't know. It tastes like warheads, so they have like that sour taste to them. And we used to take them off the tree and we'd like suck on them and spit them off. And I found out later that Native Americans used to use that to make tea. So you can get tea with them too.
Yeah. So for somebody on a 1 acre plot, best advice I can give is don't till. You want to keep your soil as healthy as possible. So you're going to want to add in plant material, anything organic. You're going to, papers, cardboard, like you said, cardboard's great. Earthworms love it. And it brings them up closer to the surface, and it helps water. So any kind of organic matter that you can add to the soil is one of the most important things. And for anybody that's like, well, organic matter is not that important. For every 1% of organic matter you add to your soil, for every 1%, your soil can hold 10,000 gallons per.
Oh, really?
That's 1%. You add 1% organic matter, your soil can hold 10,000 more gallons. And that's where we want to keep our water. Organic matter is going to increase your water infiltration. So you're not going to have your runoff. Your topsoil is not going to go. Your water, and when the water infiltrates, it's actually going to stay. And it's going to stay at a level that's available to your plants. That's the big thing, is now you don't have to irrigate. Go into a drought, you might need to irrigate, but if you got enough organic matter in your soil and you got enough rainfall before you hit that drought, you have to irrigate. I don't water until my plants tell me that they're thirsty. But I also stick my finger in and go, you about to tell me you're thirsty this afternoon and you're just not thirsty this morning? I stick my finger, about an inch deep, and if it feels moist, then I don't water.
Yeah.
I don't go by the look on top. I go by at least an inch deep. And, I want to wait until my plants are thirsty, because with the longer you go in between watering, the deeper those plant roots are going to go. Some people have tomato plants that they can just go and they can pull it out of the ground because the roots are all, because they watered every day. You can't do that with my tomato plants because they're like going a foot to 2 foot deep trying to find that water. Because we want you want to have that organic matter, because one, it's feeding your microbes. The more microbes you have, the faster all of your manures and everything are going to break down into compounds that your plants can absorb. So, and it's, people are like, well, I don't know where to get organic matter. Your kitchen. Anything you're going to throw out of your kitchen can go into your compost pile. Be careful with onions, because those are going to take a while.
Meat too, depending on what you're not trying to attract.
Well, I don't think about that, because any meat that's going to get thrown out of my kitchen goes to the...
Oh.
Dairy too. You don't really want to put a whole lot in your compost pile, but that all goes to the dogs too. So, I make a lot of banana bread, and bananas are great for your garden.
And coffee.
One thing I'm going to try here coming up this summer is I'm going to actually use my banana peels, and I'm going to make a powder, and that'll be a really potassium-rich powder, and see how that works out.
You're going to dehydrate your banana peels and then just spread them in the garden?
Well, I'm gonna in a dehydrator, and then I'm gonna put them in the blender once they're crunchy, and I'm gonna turn them into a powder.
Yeah, and then just shake it up.
Then I spread it. Huh?
Okay. Yeah, so just take it over the whole garden.
I might do it in my lawn too, depending on how many banana peels I have. I actually have a coffee shop in town. We all live there. Use coffee grounds. Those are really great for plants.
I had that too. I had a bakery that would give me all of their coffee grounds and food. So I would feed my pigs all these scones and stuff. They were so spoiled. But then they started giving me an entire garbage thing worth of coffee every time I went there, and I cannot lift an entire garbage pail, an entire garbage can, a garbage can that you put out for trash day. I cannot lift one of those filled with wet coffee grounds into my car, so I stopped going.
I'd take them 5-gallon buckets and go, can you fill these instead?
Yeah, I'm I can't do that. That's too heavy. I'm not messing with it. And I tried. I went there, and I don't have that much acreage to use that many coffee grounds. But
well, see, coffee grounds aren't to use on areas that you're grazing hoof stock. You rain at least a couple of times before you put your hoof stock back on areas that you spread coffee grounds. Mm-hmm. Which I rotate my goats, so I can do that. I can go and put the coffee grounds out. I put them back on that area, and usually every time I plant, I put some coffee grounds out.
Yeah, but
so
all growing season, all the growing season, I'd be getting an entire thing every 2 days, and I can't. What are we gonna do with that much? It's a lot. What?
You can add it to compost.
Well, I don't do compost anymore. Pigs and chickens are my compost. And then as far as the rest of the stuff, it goes into the garden. It just goes straight into the garden.
Yeah, so you can dry out coffee grounds, and you can run them through a spreader, and it's good for your grass. It helps to deter fleas. That's why I put it all through my front yard.
Does it work out?
Is to help.
Does it work on ticks?
I'm not sure about ticks. We don't really have.
Oh.
Dogs get the occasional tick. It's not very often. But I have the fleas. Fleas aren't nearly as bad when I put coffee grounds out. But yeah, I dry it. I put them. I let them dry. Then I run them through the street to spread it out.
Okay. So it
Um,
says it's not good. It's not good for ticks, but it's good adding unused grounds to standing water are known to kill mosquito larvae.
hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's tricks that you can use to get rid of stuff you don't want. Um, I keep wormwood bushes around my house,
Mhm.
and those help with keeping wasp away.
That's good to know. We get wasps usually in the barn. I usually get stung by them every year. I'm allergic and I won't be able to talk for a week.
Well,
Worm.
wormwood, yeah, but you can't. Wormwood only works, for distance. For inside your barn, I would take some paper bags, the brown paper bags, stuff them full of the plastic grocery bags, so they go a ball, and go and tape those to the rafters because those look like hornets' nest. And wasps will avoid areas where hornets have made a nest.
Oh, I just looked up wormwood. Wormwood is used in absinthe.
Well, I don't use it for that. I just use it because it goes around, it keeps the wasp out.
Let's see. Is it safe for goats? I'm guessing it's not.
I've never tried letting my goats eat it.
Oh, this is interesting. Wormwood can be used for natural goat deworming.
Okay, maybe I should.
Well, be careful with it and make sure you do research on it before you do because it is used in medicine too. But it says it's often mixed with garlic, pumpkin seeds, or cloves in DIY or commercial dewormers. Instead of constant use, it's recommended in short bursts for like 3 days, followed by break. No
See,
practical.
I lock my goats in a barn with a whole bunch of cedar branches, like big cedar branches, when they actually need a deworming. They don't need deworming very often, like literally less than once a year. I lock them in the barn with a whole bunch of cedar, and I don't let them out until it's all gone. It's like, making toddlers take their medicine. You're going to eat something, so the only thing you have to eat medicine. So I know you're going to eat it.
Yeah.
So I'll lock them in the barn with cedar leaves, and make them eat that because they'll eat it. And once I got my goats trained to do that, now they actually go and eat the cedar on their own. Why whenever I take a fecal test to the vet, they don't need to be wormed because they go and do themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. I'm gonna wrap this up. It's been an hour. I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna go spend the rest of the new year. We got an hour before the ball drops here. Thank you so much for coming on. This was really informative. If you guys have any questions for Amber, you can find her link in the description box. It goes to her Facebook page. So make sure you give her a follow. You post this kind of stuff on there. Do you talk about like gardening and regenerative agriculture and stuff on Facebook?
And right now, for anybody that thinks it's not time to work on it now is actually a great time to be working on your garden. Because anything that you can add now, for anybody that's got a fireplace, you have a fertilizer factory.
Your ash, yeah.
You want to save that ash. The ash is great for gardens. You don't want to put too much because it can change the pH of your soil, and that would throw everything into chaos. But you do want to save that ash because even if you're doing a small garden, you can put that out in your yard and it'll make your lawn beautiful.
Well, even if you have, so we don't have a fireplace, but we have fires. We have a little fire pit, and even if you take you take it and you filter it out with uh, like the little wire nets or whatever, you can filter it out. So anything that you don't want in there, like say maybe you burned old barn wood and it's got like a nail or whatever, you don't want that in your garden. Screen it.
Yeah.
Screen it out, and you can use the stuff from your fire pit too.
Yeah, so I mean, you want your ash Kitchen scraps are good. Uh, Paper, newspapers, cardboard, any kind of paper product is good for your. Um, Whenever you vacuum, all of that. My vacuum gets a lot of pet hair, obviously.
Oh, and your dryer too.
Huh?
Your dryer too.
Yeah, and your dryer lint, that all go into a compost pile. And you want to keep all that stuff and turn your compost. And a compost heap doesn't have to be huge. The recommended is 3x3x3. You can go bigger. You can use a simple trash can. Get you a little metal trash can, put a couple drainage holes in the bottom, and you're done. You're just going to fill that thing and put it out.
We have one of these composters that you roll, one of the rolling ones, but I don't even use it. I don't use it because it's just everything goes in the garden now.
So, but and you don't have to compost it. You can put it straight in like you do.
Yeah.
So, but for somewhere that's covered in snow, yeah, you don't have to look at it. You just have to wait for the snowfall again. It's going to be covered up.
Yep.
We don't have that here. So it's kind of that. We would look at it strewn across the ground and find a spot where I'm not growing something, but I don't grow as much in the winter as I do in the summer. But there's still a lot that you can grow winter, and something that you might find useful is to build cold frames. And you can do it. There's a million ways to do it. Some old window frames, that you find on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace that somebody's trying to get rid of, and a couple of hay bales, and you angle it so that it's sousing, and that'll extend your growing season by a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Where you can go out there and get in those a couple of weeks before you're actually able to plant garden.
Yeah, the FSA, the USDA has a hoop house program, and I've applied for it. Last year they didn't have the funding, but this year they're expected to. So hopefully this year I get a hoop house. And then this year I'm also going to be doing cold weather where I start them outside in the snow.
Yeah, see, I plan on setting up a hoop house because a lot of the worms I wish I could have year round.
Are you registered? Did you register your farm with the USDA?
No, I'm registered with the Farm Service Agency, so I'm pretty sure that's
part of the USDA. Yeah, so go to the FSA and apply for it.
Yeah, so because I want to get some hoop houses, but I need one that's big enough because I want to do composting down the center of it as first.
So
that I can keep it really warm.
The size right now, I believe it's 52 by 30. The one that they'll approve. What? Yeah. So I believe it's 52 feet long by 30 foot wide. And you're going to want to go to your FSA office and apply for it now as a woman farmer. So you're going to apply, not your boyfriend or your husband or whatever. It's going to be you that applies. You're a woman farmer, get priority over the guys. You also do if you're a veteran and if you're a new farmer, which you're not a new farmer, right? You're generational, I'm guessing.
No, actually, I'm first generation.
How many years have you been doing that?
Well, see, my grandma, she was raised on a farm. I learned a lot of gardening from her.
Right, but how many years have you had your farm business?
As of October this past year, we've been here 6 years.
Okay, so
I don't qualify for new farmer anymore.
Yeah, so I think it's 5 years or less to be a new farmer, I believe. But yeah, so you can go and you can apply for this. And last year, very few applications were accepted. Most years, all the applications are accepted and they all get in. but last year funding was cut from the federal government, and they just refunded the FSA. So this year you might be able to expect it. I would say get in there, get your application in there, because you can get a free house, and it's like $100,000 or something like that. Like, I mean, they're not cheap, you know. Maybe it's not 100. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculously priced.
Check Temu. They're really cheap on Temu, but you probably want
to get a good one that they approve. Like, they have to approve it.
Okay.
I'm going to wrap this up now. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for being my very last live in 2025. And
so we'll have to talk about doing another one.
Okay.
We kind of went off kilter.
That's okay.
We didn't cover all of the points of regenerative agriculture, but just to sum it up, no tillage, no synthetics, focus on your soil health. And when you focus on soil health, your plants are going to be healthier, and it's going to make healthier, and it's going to make you healthier.
Okay. Yeah. I would love to do it again. Maybe we can figure out how to not be
So, but yes, we'll talk some more, and maybe we'll be able to schedule something for 2026.
All right. That sounds awesome. All right.